Hello, and welcome to the first episode of That's Truckin. So, my name is Roger McIntosh. Most people just call me Mac. Originally, it was Little Mack. And yes, I work here at Arnold Brothers Transport, but this channel is not about them. It is not for them. Basically, you know the typical. Opinions stated within these videos do not reflect the opinions of Arnold Brothers Transport. This is solely me and not them. Boy, that sun is bright today. So here we are in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And for those of you who don't know, that is in Canada, in case you couldn't tell by the maple leaf on all of our trucks and trailers. Not that that means anything. There are a lot of trucks that have maple leaves on because they do cross-border. So I will get into, in a little bit, what this channel is going to be about. But yeah, right now we're just getting ready. I just finished my pre-trip, and we're going to be heading to Shepherd, Michigan, with what looks to be a load of tubes. Some are 18 feet, some are 32 feet. There's 36 feet maybe, but there's a lot of different kinds of tubes. That's all I know. I have a funny feeling these are not plastic. I believe I know the company that made these. I think these are cardboard, like not flimsy cardboard, but kind of a cardboard. I believe they're used for making concrete pillars, like they're for the forms. I won't know until we deliver them. We deliver Tuesday. And it is currently Sunday, July 5th. And got a little bit of a late start here. My ACE, my e-manifest for crossing into the U.S. is still not done. So we kind of got to wait for that. But we are going to get this done. We're going to get moving. And if I have to stop in Morris, Manitoba, then I'll stop in Morris, Manitoba. I do have a printer in my truck, so I can print up anything I need, but really all I need is the transit number, and then I can just jot that on the paper and they'll accept it. So, let's get going. Alright. Wasn't going to record going through our security. I don't know how I feel about this security. Not them personally or their business. I'm just not sure how I feel about this style of security. This is bird's eye security, I believe it's called. Anyhow, they are off-site. They do everything remotely through cameras and everything. I just miss the personal touch, but I'm old. I like dealing with people. So we're turning right onto Lage-Modier Boulevard, which is, we're going northbound. What? The U.S. is south? Are you sure? I know it's to the south. But we're not allowed to make left turns out of the yard. Thank you, Mayor. I think that was Sam Katz back then, or was it Glenn Murray? I can't remember. It might have been Glenn Murray. Yeah, the city didn't want us doing it anymore. There was a whole thing, the company looking at getting traffic lights put in and all that stuff, and then it came down to what it was going to cost and who was going to pay for the maintenance, and it was a big gong show. So now we turn north and go and do a U-turn. Yeah. Excuse me. All right, so what is my channel about? Well, believe it or not, it's about truck driving. I want to show what we go through. I really enjoy another YouTuber who's local to me, Trucker Josh. And I decided, you know what, I want to do the same thing. And the difference is, he does flatbed. Now, I've done flatbed, so I know how much work goes into that. When he talks about tarping, he makes it sound like it's easy. It is not easy. It is hard work. You get, you kind of get a method of how you do it, and it gets easier and it's a little quicker, but it's still physically active work. And those straps, I mean, they don't just slither up the load and go over. You got to throw those suckers. You throw them over and you hope you get it over. Some loads that I used to pick up, because they were parked next to another trailer, I couldn't, just stand further back and huck the roll of strap over. I had to stand next to the trailer and huck it pretty much straight up and hope that I get enough of an arc that it would go over. Because if it lands on top of the load, that's no good. Some loads you can't climb on. So now you're pulling on the strap, the end that on your side, and unraveling it. Are we clear? We're clear. And you then you gotta either ball it up, which is not a very good idea. No, you pull out your strap winder and you wind it back up and start over. Normally I would just throw it to the side and just grab another strap. I'll wind that one up after. I'm aggravated enough that I didn't get it over. But anyways, the difference is what he does and what I do are different. I drive and I haul primarily refrigerated and dry van loads. So I don't do flatbed anymore. If the company asked me to do a flatbed run, that would be hauling a bus shell down into Minnesota. And really, those things already come all strapped down. I remember the first time I ever did that, I had no experience with flatbed. And I made them come out and show me how to tighten the binders properly. And all of that stuff, because if they come loose, it's on me. But we have guys that are dedicated on those runs, and a lot of them are getting close to the point of retiring, so they got priority for that. They got the seniority to stay on those runs. And I will state right now, yes, I am a smoker, and I will be smoking every now and then. I apologize if this bothers you, but at least you don't have to sit here and smell it. I wouldn't smoke if you were in the truck. If you were a non-smoker, I would ask permission. Even if it is my own personal truck. This is not my truck. This is a company truck. I am not an owner-operator. Difference is, I don't have to pay the fuel, or the insurance, or the tolls, or the repairs. Gotcha beat, Truckin' Josh. Of course, he drives that really beautiful Kenworth W900. So, with what I do, and I shouldn't eliminate Trucker Josh from this either. But we work in a world of logistics. Logistics is not something that's new. It has existed ever since man started hauling goods from point A to point B for the purpose of selling them. Okay? Logistics has been around. Now we actually have departments for logistics because they're trying to streamline it, right? Get the supply chain completely locked down. Here's the problem. You ever play that game Telephone as a kid? If not, you were a sheltered child. That was an awesome game, and you didn't need anything. Keeps the kids entertained for hours. But you would stand on one end, and you would tell the person on one end a sentence, such as, Mary's dog is white and she's going for a walk. Something along those lines. And you let that person then whisper it into the ear of the next person. Nobody else is supposed to hear this. They only hear it when the person next to them whispers it into their ears, or ear. And then by the time it gets to the end, it's usually along the lines of, Mary's walking her white dog. Now, the context is still the same, but that is not the message. Because the context actually isn't the same. Originally it said, Mary's dog is white and she's going for a walk. It never said she took the dog for a walk. And this happens in logistics fairly often, more often than we would like. And by we, I'm talking about truck drivers and everybody else in the logistics world. But there are communication breakdowns. There are issues that arise that screw everything up. Rule of thumb, lay your best plans, but plan for the worst. Isn't that what it is? Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Something like that. And that's what we have to do. We try to leave right on time. If not, I like to leave early. There are times I will actually go to the company the night before and I'll sleep in my truck so that I could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just start my day. Because I got to, take my medication. I'm diabetic, so I got to take my medication. And, your normal routine. We're all human. And that way I can get my early start. I didn't do that last night. I probably should have. But I was waiting on some laundry to be done, so it wouldn't have worked out. But when these kind of things would happen, my dad would always say, well, that's trucking. My dad was a truck driver too. Oh, perfect segue right into who the hell am I? As I told you, my name is Roger McIntosh. Most people call me Mac. And my father was a truck driver. Actually, let me reiterate, I'm adopted. We can get into that story another time. But I was adopted by the McIntosh family. They knew my biological father. So I guess it was around the time I was 21 or so, I got to meet my biological father. And him and I did form a relationship. He did not try to step in. Even after my dad, Wayne McIntosh, died, he did not try to step in and take his place. But anyways, both of them were truck drivers. So I grew up in a truck. I learned to drive a truck long before legally allowed to. All right, scales closed. That's helpful.
Avoid the not truck route ahead.
Yes, Karen, don't you worry. We are approaching Emerson, Manitoba, which is where the border is. On the other side, it's Pembina, North Dakota. Going into the States, we say we're crossing at Pembina, North Dakota because, well, we don't have to stop at Canada Customs. We just go past that and go straight to U.S. Customs. And once I get close to the booth, I have to shut off the recording. I can record up to the booth, but that's it. They would actually prefer if we stop recording just before we get to the booth, at the very latest. I had already been warned. Well, not really warned. I was asking questions so that I knew, you know, what it was I was allowed to do and what it was I wasn't allowed to do.
2 kilometers, turn right.
And where's that paper? There we go. Just making sure this is the right one. Yes. But I was asking questions and they warned me that if they suspect that I'm recording at the window, they would pull me in, they would go through the recording, and whether I was recording at the window or not, they might just delete the recording. They might not take the time to actually go through it.
In 800 meters, turn right onto the Interstate 29 South.
Which honestly does make sense. I mean, they don't really have the time. Oh, fix that. They really don't have the time to go through the video and everything, so they would likely just go and shut it all down. Oh, what's going on here?
400 meters, turn right onto the Interstate 29 South.
That's interesting. They're stopping cars, but they were marking stuff down about trucks. I don't know if they were... Oh, what am I doing? It's a green light. I'm so used to getting here and I have to stop. So, they got me all flustered now. But anyhow, I doubt it was a license plate, but they probably wrote down truck, like the company name. All right, rule of thumb.
Now turn right.
Which one do we go to? That far one is open, and so I don't want to be blocking. You know what?
Welcome to North Dakota.
I won't. I won't be blocking anybody if I take this first one. Some guys, they all line up for this first one because they figure it's moving faster. And so they all line up on the first one, and then nobody can get to the furthest one. But I'm not blocking anybody. Right now, we are in no man's land. Which I think is a strange name to call it, because it's not that nobody claims this piece of land here along the border. In between U.S. Customs and Canadian Customs, both have the authority to operate. And usually when they're dealing with, a problem, they look at the person they're dealing with. If they're American, then U.S. Customs can deal with it. If they're Canadian, then Canadian Customs can deal with it. Just because one has more authority when the person they're dealing with is the citizen of said country. But that would be for if somebody took off from the booth without making sure that everything was done. That doesn't usually happen on the commercial side. That's something that the cars will do. And even that's rare. They're quite busy. Usually I get here and there's only one booth open, and we're backed right up because they've been having staffing issues. And today is a Sunday. Oh, that's probably why. It's Sunday after the 4th of July, so they're checking all... That was probably U.S. Customs. They're probably checking all the Americans returning back to the U.S. Because I don't get this, but a lot of Americans cross into Canada for 4th of July weekend. We don't celebrate the 4th of July. So you're not going to find any events. Come a few days earlier, for the 1st of July, you'll find events, but not the 4th. But maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're trying to get away from the big, huge displays. Maybe they want to just do something more personable. Swing wide so I don't hit one of these yellow poles. These things are scanners and cameras, and they scan my fast card as I'm approaching. When I get to the window, they will likely sit there and call me by my name. But right now, I'm going to stop recording because I don't want to get in trouble. All right, we're clear. So now we are in the United States of America. I've got 9 hours of driving that I can do. Oh, I'm speeding because I'm doing Canadian speeds. There we go. It's only 10 miles an hour here, and I keep forgetting to switch over my digital speedometer. Don't even get me started on this digital dashboard. Let's not talk about it. We'll save that for another day. Or else I will be making a 3-hour video of just rants about all the digital stuff in the trucks, all the new electronics. The one thing I will say, this idea that there's going to be self-driving trucks anytime soon, we use the same sensors that are on those trucks. I mean, they have a few more sensors, but let's put it this way. When it rains hard, I lose my sensors. Right now, because there's bugs all over my bumper, I lose my sensors. Foggy, wintertime, sensor, all gone. If we can't keep the sensors working, that's what those trucks are using to navigate. It's why they're in areas with good weather. I mean, we might disagree about what we call good weather. It's too hot or whatever, but there's no, storms very often. And when there is a storm, those trucks shut down. I mean, I'm not saying, oh, there's rain, and those trucks shut down. But they will shut down if a sensor goes, so I don't buy that those trucks will be on the road commercially, you know, all over the place anytime soon. 30, maybe 50 years, maybe we'll see it. Right now, I think the closest thing we'll get is driver assistance, where the truck might be driving itself, there's still a driver behind the wheel, and the truck will only be allowed to drive itself for a certain amount of time, and then the driver must take over. Okay, well, we're here in Hasty. In fact, I left that camera running. There we go. So, we're here in Hasty. I had really wanted to get much further down the road, but it just was not looking like that was going to be the case. You know, part of it was I took an hour nap, yes. The other part is parking. Everything's filling up at like 8:30 at night. What I didn't take into consideration is it's just right after the 4th of July. So there's a lot of freight moving because a lot of drivers take time off for the 4th of July and go spend it with their families. So being that it's today's the 5th. So it's the very next day. A lot of drivers probably got right back on the road today. So that's one of the issues we're dealing with on the highways now, is trying to get parking. Where are we supposed to park? Now, the Flying J and pilots, they have reserved parking. A lot of the TAs and Petros, they have reserved parking. But you got to pay like 20, anywhere from, so far I think I've seen it from $15 to $25. And nobody wants to pay to park just for an overnight parking spot. This is our job. I mean, when they first came out with reserved parking, I thought, hey, this is actually kind of cool. You want to make sure you got a parking spot. That's how you do it. But ever since e-logs came into play, everybody's shutting down early. Because with the e-log, we have to follow the 14-hour rule. 16 in Canada. And that rule states from the time you start your day, you have 14 hours to complete your work. After that, you can't work anymore. You can't drive or anything. So, you push hard, right? Because there are things that'll be delays. And we're paid by the mile, so you push hard to try to get as many miles in the day. You want to try to get 10 hours of driving done, because that's pretty close to around 600 miles. But there are delays. And I mean, I understand why they came out with the e-log, and fine. But some of the regulations they put in, like the 14-hour rule, it doesn't stop. That 14-hour, it doesn't stop. If you... Now, you can do a thing like split sleeper berth, but those rules always get so confusing. Especially when you do cross-border. Because it's easy to confuse the rules for Canadian split sleeper berth versus American split sleeper berth, right? So, yeah, we're just pushed a lot harder than we used to be. And I find that with the e-log, we're working very hard, but more of a dangerous situation than it was when we were doing paper logs. Because most of us with paper logs, we didn't lie on our logbooks, we fudged our logbooks. There was a difference. So we would figure out from point A to point B how long it took us to get there mathematically. Right? And now if we got slowed down because of construction or traffic backup or anything, it didn't normally show up on our logbook. Unless, we're talking about, rush hour, going through rush hour in Chicago. Well, we would add a bit of time for that because clearly we get called out. The whole running 2 logbooks, most didn't do that. So we were punished for, hang on, I'm just trying to check something about this trip. But we were punished for what some were doing. And as a Canadian, we were also punished for what a lot of Americans were doing. Because it was the Americans who decided they wanted to change the hours of service and add certain rules and regulations for driver safety. And so Canada follows suit. Because we got some sort of an agreement between the two nations about highway safety. So, but yeah, it has not gone the way they intended. I don't think they spoke to enough drivers or listened to what drivers had said before making the changes. But hey, that's the government for you. But anyways, thank you for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this first video. Drop a comment and, just say hi, or, you can tell me what you would like to see more of, that kind of thing. I'm still learning a lot about how to do this and the planning of it. This is the second attempt that I've done at starting this channel. First time got thrown out the window when footage went missing. I don't know where I put it. So, yeah. Thank you for coming along today. And like I said, drop a comment. You can hit like, you can subscribe, although, I'm not stupid. But, yeah. And we'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video.